Hey guys, good afternoon. I had just dropped my toddler off at preschool, and I'm running to a different appointment. But I did want to hop on because I wanted to address something that I think is super important, and it kind of goes along with the idea of making excuses or saying things like I don't have the time. And honestly, like that excuse to me like makes me cringe because honestly, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. And I get like being a busy mom, and especially if you're like a mom and you're working, like I totally get being busy and not really feeling like you want to make the time for yourself. Like you become like, you put yourself on the back burner. You're so worried about, getting your children fed and dressed and clean, and you forget about yourself. You forget about the fact that you mentally need those things. You mentally need to get yourself dressed. And what I mean by that is you mentally need to take time and just focus on you. Focus on doing something that brings you joy. Don't focus on something that, don't look at it as a chore, because you really need that time, like especially as a parent, not just moms, like dads too. Especially if you stay at home with your kids, it is so important to make yourself a priority and to really focus on finding something that brings you joy, whether that's reading, whether that's working out, whether that's learning about something new, learning a new language. Like you really need to do something that at the end of the day you're gonna it's gonna make you feel good. You are gonna have that positive energy coming at you. I'm sorry if you guys can't see me, I'm driving and it's really sunny out today. So I just wanted to really address that, and I think one of the things that you can do to take this step is to carve out and schedule making time for yourself. So I do multiple things to take care of myself, actually on a daily basis, working out being one of them. Really focusing on my nutrition. But those are things that are really geared towards health. That really isn't it brings me joy because I'm getting results and I'm feeling good and I have energy and things like that. But there's so much more to the journey than just weight loss and things like that. You really have to work on yourself and being the best version of yourself. And that means taking time for self-care and self-development. Self-care and self-development can be one and the same, but they can also be separate things. So sometimes self-care involves, working out. Maybe it involves therapy. Maybe it involves like meditation or meditation, sorry. And maybe for somebody else, that means something else. It's going to mean something for every different person. But I really think that it is important to carve out that time for yourself, schedule it, write it down, make a note in your phone, set an alarm, and make sure that when you sit down at the end of the day, at least a couple times a week, it doesn't have to be every single day, but at least make it a couple times a week, and say, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I've made time for myself. In the mornings, I'm going to do this, and maybe at night before bed, I'm going to read a book and enjoy a cup of tea, hot cocoa, whatever is your thing. I think it's really important to make that time for yourself. Especially if you have a busy life and you don't get a lot of time to slow down. You have to slow down at some point. Like I said, we all have the same 24 hours. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. So a lot of times when I say I'm busy, I could be doing things that would prioritize my time. Whereas I wouldn't feel as rushed. I wouldn't, I need to make the most of my time. Especially as a mom, especially because I do not get a lot of time for myself. Working out is one of those things. Working out is like therapy for me. It's, besides the endorphins, it just makes me feel like I got something really great accomplished for my day, not only for my body, like for my transformation and for results I'm looking for, but also like when I finish a workout, I just feel like I just sweated out. I just worked out whatever frustrations or emotions are going on. And I'm really proud of the fact that even I have all of these things going on. I have my own podcast, I have my own YouTube channel, I have interviews that I'm doing with guest speakers. Like, I always make time in the mornings, and I do it every single day, even on like my rest days. It's either yoga or something to really like calm me down, center me, focus on whatever emotions I'm having, work through those. It's a lot like, for me, it's a lot like, going to a therapist. Like, instead of talking to somebody, I kind of work through those things, like with each move. Like, if I'm struggling mentally, normally I'm working through those things, taking out like my frustrations or like my feelings in life within my workout, especially with like cardio, or if I'm lifting weights, I tend to like really get into the emotions and really focus them. And actually, in one of the Sean Week workouts, Sean T really talks about this with one of the girls that is filming the workout with him, and she gets emotional, and it really spoke to me, because I think a lot of people fail to realize that it's okay to connect to your emotions, especially when you're working out. It's okay to have those moments where maybe you cry, maybe you laugh, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, you should enjoy what you're doing, and it should be a productive thing for you. And that can mean different things for different people. Maybe walking and listening to a podcast, or walking and listening to music, is something that really helps you process those feelings, helps you feel good about your day, makes you feel productive. Maybe podcasts aren't your thing. Not everybody is into it. Maybe reading a book is. And it may have nothing to do with health and fitness. This may be just some book that you enjoy sitting down to and getting lost in. Like, I love to read. Honestly, for me, reading doesn't relax me like it used to before kids. Sometimes, mostly it's podcasts these days. I find that they have so much information, and I can really learn from them. I can really absorb the information and still get other things done. Or I can take the time and really absorb the information and even take notes. The other thing that I really enjoy doing, and this sounds super nerdy, but is I really enjoy learning about nutrition and learning about different things. And what I've been doing lately is I'm really hoping to go back to school so I can really connect with this subject. But I was lent a textbook for the program, and I'm like, it's so interesting to me, and things have clicked, and I've had these aha moments, and I've had these non-scale victories because I'm able to connect with the material and the content, and it's something that I enjoy. It's something that I will forever be doing. I love to be forever a student. I call myself forever a student. You know, I finished my my 4-year degree and a bachelor's degree, and I'm just constantly wanting to learn, even if it has no certification, no nothing. Like, I really love to learn and read about new things and absorb information and really work it into helping myself on my journey and helping people that I know and having a positive impact on their journey, because I've really talked about positivity, and that really helps. So that's something that is kind of like a self-development thing for me, even though it has not necessarily has anything to do with, you know, self-development as a person. It has self-development as in, you know, connecting with nutrition, learning new things, really finding what nutrition path works for me, because I think a lot of people take these cookie cutter diets and they just take those as Bible, and they don't really understand the reasons behind it. They don't understand the drive behind why they chose that. They look for like an easy way out. And I've talked about this before. Diets are just diets. Like, they're not you need to look at something that is sustainable for life, that has, things, that positive things over the long term. Like, a lot of these fad diets, there's no long-term studies, and that's scary to me. So it's fine if you want to phase in those things and you kind of want to try out for a week or two, and really sometimes our bodies get so used to something that maybe we need to try something else, just to tell our bodies, hey, wake up, like, let's try something new. And which is what I've been doing. This last, it's been since Sunday I started. I am not a big fan of the keto diet as a long-term solution, but I do think there are benefits short-term in phasing it out. And not that I'm in a plateau or anything, but I'm just very interested in seeing, I like to do a lot of these experiments with, like, seeing what works best for my body, what changing it up does, like, is it working for me, is it not working for me. So after this week of keto, or keto-ish, I don't want to say keto because I'm not like following the guidelines or anything. I'm just focusing more on fats and proteins than I am carbohydrates, and I'm still getting my carbohydrates from nuts and veggies and things like that. I'm gonna try to carb cycle for 1 or 2 days, and it's probably gonna be on a day where I have a heavier, like, more intense workout plan. So, like, on my Wednesdays, which are rest days from the current program that I'm doing, I like to go to the gym and kind of just do my own thing and experiment and see what works for me. I have goals for stamina and things like that. I'm really learning to enjoy running. And those are things that I've been able to explore and kind of play with nutrition as well, because this program is only 4 days a week, and it allows me to try other things and find things that I enjoy outside of a cookie cutter program or a structured program. And that can help me later on in the end, and really using myself as an experiment really helps me to show other people what they can try that may work for them. And obviously we're different. Each and every one of us is different, but trying out new things can really be helpful, and it can help you kind of get into a different mindset too, of maybe looking at more short-term things. So I always like to say 2 pounds at a time. And Alana, who created the nutrition program that I've been following since I was 5 weeks postpartum, talks about that too. And she talks about how, we need to be flexible with our diet, and we need to try different things, different textures, different foods, different veggies. Before I started this program, I never knew what an endive was. And now I enjoy them, and I've tried them out in a few different ways, and it's something that's really interesting to me. And I'm, like I said, forever a student, so I'm always trying to learn new things and apply them to my journey and see how they work for me. And then it's a ripple effect. Then I can help my clients, I can help people who have messaged me with questions, people that I know, family, and I think it's really important to just stay flexible. Make time for yourself, figure out what works for you, figure out how you can make time for yourself and make yourself a priority. Self-care, self-development, really trying to progress each day and be better than you were the day before. And these should be just small changes, but they'll be big changes over time. So I can tell you, when I started this journey, I was nowhere near where I was with mindset or even as a person. And tomorrow I will be a little bit better than I was today. And I think that's really important to keep in mind, especially as you progress, because a lot of people they just look at the long term. They look at this number that they want to be. They look at this amount of weight they want to lose. They look at this body they want to have. But they forget that short term, those small changes short term are really what get those results in the long run. And carving out time for yourself is one of those things that in the long run is going to get you to where you need to be. And I really want everybody to remember that, and everybody can do it. A lot of times I hear things like, I can't afford healthy food. And I understand fresh produce. I'm balling on a budget myself. I write out these grocery lists. I really do try to eat the best things that are going to fuel my body. I try to find new things. Fresh is always obviously best. But there are ways to get, healthy foods into your diet that don't have to be expensive. If you're in the States, Aldi is a great resource. I was just reading that they have decided to go like all organic, which is amazing. Like, I wish in Canada we had Aldi. I miss it from back home. But there are ways to do it. You can buy frozen food. So if you can't get fresh, try for frozen. Frozen food is generally, it'll last longer. It generally is a bit cheaper. And there are these food deserts where people don't have access to these things, or fresh produce, or even frozen produce is really limited. There's always cans too. So if you can't get fresh and you can't get frozen, cans are the next best thing. Especially in a world of high sugar, high lipids, aka fats, and I just think that those excuses really keep you from being the best you, and finding that potential. And we have to remember too that fueling our bodies with these healthy, smart choices in the end is going to improve our health. You have a choice between two different things, and it's up to you to make that choice, and remember that you have potential, and you need to choose the best things to improve that potential. And that has to do with everything in life. You always have choices. It's free will, right? So I am actually at my appointment now, but that is something that I wanted to address. I think that it's really, really important to prioritize yourself, and really work on finding that potential, nourishing that potential, because like I've said before, we all have greatness inside us. Each and every single one of you has greatness, and you have the same 24 hours in the day that everybody else has. You just have to prioritize your day. Stop making excuses, because excuses are not going to get you to your best potential. And just keep focusing on those small changes. If you're trying to lose weight, 2 pounds at a time. If you're trying to tone up, one body part at a time. Maybe you want to focus on your biceps, or maybe you want to focus on your legs. Or if you have a goal, like you want to run a 5K, like that's one of my goals. You start out, with 1 lap at a time, or half a lap at a time, or you walk 1 lap and you run 1 lap, or you walk 2 laps, and you just progress from there. And you should always be progressing. You never want to be stagnant. You never want to be stuck. And there's a difference between maintaining but still improving and progressing, and then there's being stagnant and just being blah with your life. And nobody wants to be blah in their life. So always progress, make time for yourself, prioritize yourself, and really just fully enjoy life as much as possible, and stay positive, and nourish the greatness that you have inside of you. Seek it and nourish it. Thank you so much for joining. So much for tuning in today and sharing this time with me. Please stay tuned for future episodes, and check out my podcast.